Hi, I'm Ty, and this is part two of my 1 year in Atlanta review. So, in the previous video, I talked about all the pros of living in Atlanta and all the positive and all the great things I had to say about it. This video is going to be all the cons. hmm Yeah, this is going to be the cons of living in Atlanta. As you know, everything in life has pros and cons. And I'm so sorry for anyone in advance who just loves Atlanta so much and may feel differently about how I feel. However, this is my video, this is my perspective. So I'm gonna share my cons. So starting off in no particular order, the floods. Overall, the infrastructure, but specifically and specifically the floods. I don't know who built the city. I don't know who put it together. I don't know if they forgot that rain is a thing. Well, I don't know because maybe global warming has since become a thing over time. But it seems as if we need to get rowboats every time it rains. And it's dangerous because it will rain for all of 10 minutes and there will be streets and highways that will have water piled up, like extremely flooded. And in my opinion, that is very dangerous and is really something that I'm hoping that the city is working on because that should not be the case. There should be proper, like drains and stuff like that to get the water off the streets. I could see if it was raining for 40 days and 40 nights. I could see if it had been raining for even, 4 hours. But it will rain for 5 minutes and you will see you will see people floating down the highway. I'm not a fan. And then on that note, I will also say like just the infrastructure overall, it just kind of needs work because there are some apartments and some houses when it snows here or even if it just gets way too cold, the pipes bursting. Pipes popping, bursting, and spraying all over the place. In my last video, I think I did mention that it did happen to snow this past winter, which it typically does not snow here, but it does get cold here. Like, yeah, this is Georgia, but it still does get cold in the wintertime, and the pipes will freeze and burst. I don't know if it's like they don't have that insulation on them. I don't really know what it is. Maybe they weren't expecting Atlanta to ever get this cold. Maybe something needs to be something needs to be done. The place I live is very intentional about saying, "Hey, baby, drip them pipes. It's a freeze warning today. Turn that water on in that bathroom and that kitchen because it is serious and it will happen here." So that is definitely something to be aware of. List of cons of living in Atlanta. The next thing I will mention is scamming. I'm not too sure like why scam culture is so popular here. I have my guesses because people want to be flashy, people want to have money, people want to make it and be impressive or whatever. But yeah, scam culture is horrible, awful. The biggest thing to me with the scam culture is because there are so many hardworking black professionals here who are trying to make it, whether that be through their own business or working for a good company or whatever, like everybody here is just trying to make it. And so when there are so many scammers that are scamming people who are just trying to make it, I feel like that is what really like upsets me the most about the scamming culture. It's like black people scamming black people. I don't like that. I'm not a fan. The thing about the scamming is a lot of people think the scamming might just be, oh, someone like, robbing you or oh, someone giving you, a fake QR code to pay a bill or something like that. That does. But when I talk about scamming, I'm talking about a whole nother level of like the restaurants, the parking, just like the way that some of the businesses and some of just like how things are run in Atlanta, that is just very much making it hard on everyday working people who are just trying to like enjoy, restaurants, enjoy dinner, enjoy services, and they're having to be taxed or pay additional fees and stuff for no fucking reason. For example, there's a certain restaurant here who I will not name. Actually, I am gonna name them because I reached out to them and they didn't say nothing back to me. So I actually will name them. There's a restaurant here called Wheezy's. They're not the only one, but they are the first one that comes to mind just based on my own recent experiences. But they do things like, so Wheezy specifically, they charge you a $75 deposit before you can make a reservation. Okay, that's fine. Get there, they charging you $20 in the parking lot just to park your own car. There are a lot of places all over the world that have valet parking. Everybody understands that paying for valet parking is fine. What Ty does not understand is me paying you money to park my car in your parking lot when I don't understand if y'all own the property or you guys are just leasing the property, but I'm pretty sure the owners of the property are not charging y'all per car that comes into the parking lot. So it doesn't make any sense to me that y'all are just trying to hustle people who are trying to visit this establishment. Mind you, the food not free inside. I'm still gonna have to pay for the food and tip the server when I get in there. But no, paying $20 and that's $20 cash. Pay with a card and it's gonna be 22, and you're gonna have to park your own car. hmm I'm pretty sure there's somebody who can justify and make sense of why it is that you're paying so much money for parking. You're never gonna make it make sense to me. I don't give a damn. It doesn't make any sense. And $20 is light work compared to some places. Some places, especially on a Friday or Saturday night, might charge you $50 just to park your car. And baby, if that's not a scam, I don't know what is. So back to Wheezy's. I paid $75 deposit and they told me it would go towards the total of my check. That's fine. Okay. Me and my friend, we eat, we have a good time. I go to pay the check and the server is like, I say, oh, well, can you just charge the card that's on file? And she told me, nah, they couldn't do that. That's odd. And so somebody else ended up paying it of a different method because that's what had to be done. Why I look on my credit card statement a week later and Wheezy's is still having a $75 charge on my card. Not a hold. Because at first it was a hold. Now it's a $75 charge. Absolutely not. And so I called up there and I emailed. Nobody got back to me. Nobody answered the phone. And so you know what I did? Hello, American Express. Yeah, I would like to dispute a charge. hmm They took good care of it. So I say all that to say that you have to be careful when you go out here because restaurants will try to get one over on you. Other places will do stuff like they'll have just all these different fees and stuff. Most places have a 20% gratuity already built into the check for all parties of one or more. That's okay with me as long as the service is okay. The only time I have a problem with it, because I typically tip anyway, the only time I really have a problem with it is if I'm getting poor service and my check comes and I'm still being charged 20%. That's not have a problem. Next on my list of cons about living in Atlanta, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to say housing. Yeah, the housing. Thankfully, I'm very fortunate and very blessed that I live in a really great neighborhood, a really great location, and I feel pretty safe. But you definitely want to make sure, especially if you know what I'm saying, you travel a lot, you might live by yourself. You definitely want to make sure you get a home that is gated, locked, gated, guys, security cameras. Because and even where I live, it's a gated community and people try to run the gate. People try to like tell you in the gate, all type of stuff. Our gate, the community I live in, it's a metal gate. It has an arm and a metal gate. And cars will try to run through the gate. I don't know what they're trying to get in here and do. I don't know if they're trying to get in here and run up on somebody or what, but yeah. Yeah, it's awful. Like to me, I feel like it's really weird. Um People kind of just going into somebody's neighborhood or a neighborhood of people they don't know. Like that's not safe. There's also a lot of, robberies and car break-ins and things like that here. And so it's definitely something that you have to be mindful of. Don't keep valuables in your car, making sure you have cameras. Like I have cameras and security around my home in addition to what my community has. I have my own stuff because baby, so housing slash safety in my opinion is one of the cons. In every major city there is going to be an issue of safety, just because that's unfortunately just how it goes. But here specifically, I you have to have your head on a swivel wherever you go because yeah. Next, bugs. I will just just for anybody wondering, the further south you go, the bigger the bugs are. I didn't see bugs out here the size of my hand. Spiders, beetles, moths. I don't know what they are. They're just big and they're every fucking where. So just be mindful. Okay. I literally spray peppermint oil, eucalyptus oil, whatever the all type of products. I like spray them all over my apartment. I thought I saw a bug. Literally like all whatever homemade type of sprays and repellents and stuff. I spray once or twice a month because I have windows and I have my door, obviously. And so I don't want nothing coming in here. I remember when literally I was touring apartments and I went in there in the bathroom to look at it and it was a big ass spider in the sink. And the man looked at me like it won't no big deal. Sir, are you crazy? That's not where I live now, but I'm just saying it's bugs everywhere here. Every fucking where. Next, I will say traffic is awful. I just don't think that the city was built in mind for so many people to be here. For example, in the DC DMV area, there are a lot of highways and byways inside in like little major highway side streets. Outside of the major highway, there are also minor highways. Here, there's a major highway in its neighborhoods. And so when the major highway is backed up, then the neighborhoods and the side streets are backed up because that's what people are using. It makes it really difficult to navigate like so many people doing so much traveling, um, and so many people living here. Like rush hour, it's gonna take you a while to get somewhere. In my opinion, I don't know if I think the traffic I don't compared to DC, I feel like the traffic here just don't make sense. In DC, there the traffic is bad, but it makes sense because it's a major area. You have DC, Maryland, Virginia. You have people coming across state lines, like people getting off work. You have all type of reasons to have so much traffic here. In my opinion, the traffic is unreasonable. How is it so many people that live here in such a smaller area and it's just so congested that it's just causing so much traffic? So yeah, in my opinion, yeah, the traffic is bad. It's what they say it is. The next thing I'll mention, I am mentioning it now in the cons section. However, there are some pros to this as well, but I forgot about it. And so I didn't mention it in my last video. But the MARTA, there are pros and cons to the MARTA. I did ride the metro when I lived in DC in like the DMV area, and it was cool. Up there, the metro, they are really intentional about making sure ain't no ruckus, ain't too much riffraff going on that metro. Here, the MARTA, you're gonna see some of everything on that MARTA. I have even seen security on the MARTA while being surrounded by unsavory characters and actions. And security has been, I guess their motto is if ain't nobody bleeding, y'all good. Because in DC, they don't really let people sleep all day, every day on the metro up in DC. Not that I saw. Here, it people have their books, their bags, and their belongings on the MARTA. Now, as a public health professional, I do understand the importance of having adequate housing and making sure that people are taken care of and people have a place to go and all the other stuff. So I'm not blaming these people for their not having anywhere to go. I'm just saying that they're gonna be in your seat. They're gonna be in your seat and they're gonna be beside you. And unfortunately, sometimes we have to be honest with ourselves. There are certain smells and there are certain sounds and there are certain things that you just don't want to experience like on your way to work or like just on your way home from work or something like that. And here I feel like I've experienced way more of those things than I did when I was in the DC area. Sorry. I will say I do take the MARTA to the airport though if it's during the daylight. Only because another con, they raised the prices uh on the airport parking. I used to park at the airport, but they raised the prices. So that completes my list of all the cons about Atlanta. Next, in part 3, I'm going to be talking about dating. Yeah, dating, I felt like I needed to have a whole separate video for dating. And so I did my pros video. This is the cons video. Part 3 is going to be dating.